Hello everybody. So today I'm going to talk about the review for summative assessment 5.5, 5.7, and we're going to reach 3 learning targets. So I'm going to zoom out and zoom in a little bit just to play with, make sure you can see. Okay, so 5.5 will be write equations on parallel and perpendicular lines, and we're going to do some practice problems with this learning target. Then I will cover 5.6 learning target, which is write an equation. This should be an equation of best fitting line scatter plots, and 5.7 will be predict with linear models. So those 3 learning targets we're going to discuss today. That will be your review for the summative assessment that is coming up on the next day. First learning target will be write an equation of the line that passes through the given point and it's parallel to the given line. So it's really important to read the direction and pay attention to the word parallel, because there is a difference between parallel and perpendicular lines, and the difference will be in the slope. So what do we know when we talk about 2 parallel lines? We know that the slope of the first line will be equal to the slope of the second line. So knowing this definition, we're going to focus on the very first example. So we have given point that lays on one line an equation of the other line. So that will be line 1 equation. We can write down from line 1 equation that the slope equals 4. Now, in order to get parallel line 2 equation, we are going to use M for and the coordinates of the points 5 and 8. And we know the coordinates of this point are x and y. So I will begin with the equation y equals mx plus b. The question is, how do we write the equation of the second line? So by using y equals mx plus b is what you can apply to get b and then rewrite the equation. Or also, in other words, we have discussed point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So I'm going to use point slope form, since I know the point and the slope, to calculate and see what will be the second line equation for the parallel line. So y minus y1 is 8 equals to the slope is 4 times x minus 5. This is what we get when we substitute the slope, x1 and y1 into the equation. So distributive property here, we have y minus 8 is equal to 4 times x will be 4x, 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And my next step will be just to move this number negative 8 to the other side of the equation in order to finalize the answer. So plus 8 plus 8. Notice those two cancel and we have y is equal to 4x, negative 20 plus 8 is negative 12. That will be my final answer for the first problem. So once you have the second line 2 equation written down, you are done with the problem. We're going to move on to the next example to take a look what is given. So I do have given another equation and a point. First thing that I've noticed here is my equation, it's not in y-intercept form yet. Y must be itself on the left side in order to be in this form. So what I need to do here is I need to solve this equation for y first to get line 1 equation, and then by using the information from it and the slope, we'll write down line 2 equation. So step 1 here, solve this equation. 2y equals negative 5x plus 12. So we're solving for y. This is 2 times y. I will divide by 2 each one of the 3 terms. Y is equal to negative 5 over 2x plus 6. This is the equation I have for line 1. Okay, we're not done yet, because now we're going to write the equation of line 2, and we're going to use m equals the same exact slope, -5/2, for the parallel line, and the given point 8 and -15. So step 2 here will be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and I will substitute y minus y1 as -15 equals to the slope as -5/2, and then x minus 8. So y minus -15 is y plus 15 equals -5/2x. -5/2 times -8. Well, that will be a good time to use the calculator and calculate this. So -5 divided by 2 times -8. This will give me positive 20. So distributive property, we multiply those two and those two. To solve the equation, I will subtract 15 from both sides. Those two cancel. So final thing will be y is equal to -5/2x. 20 minus 15 will be plus 5. And that will be line 2 equation. With that, we are done with the second problem. Okay, if you need to pause the video, please do so. Write down the steps. Make sure you ask questions if you need help, if you're not sure what I'm doing here, and I will be around to answer your questions. Third example, we have given point and equation. Well, again, look at this equation. This equation is not in y mx plus b form. So, step 1, again, solve the equation for y. Plus 2y equals 10. How do we solve the equation for y? Well, first we want to move x term to the right, so that will be the opposite, plus 6x plus 6x. Those two cancel, and then we have 2y is equal to 6x plus 10. One more step here. We gotta divide by 2 each one of the terms. So y equals 3x plus 5 is my line 1 equation. Since we know line 1 equation, then line 2, the parallel, we're going to write the slope, m is, and we're using the same slope, 3. And then we're using this point, -4 and -13, that is given for us at the beginning of the problem. With this, we're going to apply y minus y1 is equal m times x minus x1 formula, and we'll substitute everything what we know. And we know m, we know x1 and x1 and y1. So y minus -13 is equal to 3 times x minus -4. So let's work those negatives first. This will be y plus 13 is equal to 3 times x plus 4. Make sure when you have two negatives, you combine them and switch to positive sign. Next step will be distributive property here. So y plus 13 is equal to 3x plus 12. Subtract 13 from each side. Y equals 3x minus 1. Final answer of line 2. With that, we just finished first part of the first learning target. So we solve all those 3 problems for the parallel line. We found the equation of the first line. If it's given for us, that's fine. If it's not given, then we solve it. And then by using the information from the first equation line, we can apply and solve the second equation for the second parallel line. Alright, next thing is we're going to do the same learning target, but this time will be perpendicular line. Okay, perpendicular line. So, to solve the perpendicular line equation, we have to write the slope of the first line equation in opposite reciprocal form to the second equation. And I will remind you what was this about. So, let's begin with this problem. We have given slope here. This is line 1 equation. It's already in y equals mx plus b form, so we don't need to solve the equation. We can just go ahead and write down that the slope. Now the slope of the perpendicular line, it's always the opposite, which means if I have negative slope here, the opposite will be positive. And also reciprocal means we need to flip those two numbers. So it will be 5, positive 5 over 1. Which 5 over 1, it's just 5. So the slope that I'm going to use to calculate the second equation of the second line will be 5 instead of negative 1/5. That's rule number 1. And this is what makes the difference, parallel and perpendicular line. So you have to remember this is the very, very important thing. Next, we have this point given 2 and 7. And we will start with y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus y1 is 7 equals to the slope is 5 here, x minus 2. x1 will be 2. Once you have your information, the slope and the point, the coordinates of the point, and you substitute into the equation, next step will be to apply distributive property. So y minus 7 is equal to 5x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. One more step here. We're going to add 7 to both sides. Those two cancel, so y is equal to 5x minus 3. That will be line 2, perpendicular line of my first line given in this problem. Alright, second example. We have given point and the equation. Always remember to check if the equation is in y-intercept form. The equation is not. So step 1, we're going to solve this equation for y first. So 2y equals 7x minus 16. We will divide by 2 each one of those numbers. And then we have y equals 7 over 2x minus 16 divided by 2 is 8. So this is the equation of line 1. Now the perpendicular line 2 will have opposite reciprocal slope. Now look at this. The slope here is 7 over 2 positive, so my opposite reciprocal will be negative. We flip those two numbers, 2 over 7. Okay. Once you are done with the slope, then just go ahead and copy those coordinates of this point. 14 and negative 5, because this is what we're going to use, right, to calculate and solve the second equation of this example. So y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Y minus y1 is negative 5 equals to, the slope is negative 2 over 7 times x minus 14. Alright, so we'll continue. Those two negatives again change to plus, so will be y plus 5 equals to distributive property here, negative 2 over 7x. Negative 2 over 7, so I'm going to use the calculator to get this solution here. We have negative 2 divided by 7 times negative 14, which gives me plus 4, positive 4. Final step, subtract 5 from each side. Those two cancel, so y equals negative 2 over 7x minus 1. That will be line 2, perpendicular line equation. With this, we are done with that example. Okay, again, I know sometimes I may go a little bit too fast, but the power of the video, pause it, rewatch it if you need to, and ask questions for sure. Next example are of the perpendicular line equations. We have given equation. Again, the equation is not in y equals mx plus b form. So step 1, we are going to solve this equation for y. Minus 9x plus 3y equals 12. So 9x, x term goes first to the right. Those two cancel. Then we have 3y is, and remember I always put x term first. So it will be 9x plus 12. Then, final step, we divide by 3 each one of those. So y is equal to 3x plus 4. So that is line 1 equation. From this equation, step 2, we're going to write the perpendicular line to slope, and the slope will be opposite. This is positive, so the slope will be negative. What will be the reciprocal? Well, we know 3 is the same as 3 over 1, right? So the reciprocal of this will be 1 over 3. That will be the slope, and we're going to copy this point, -9 and 8. Then I'm going to use point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Substitute y minus y1 as 8 equals to, slope is -1 over 3, x minus -9 for x. So we're going to work on those two negatives first. Y minus 8 is equal to -1 over 3, x plus 9. Then, solving the equation, we'll apply distributive property. So y minus 8 is equal to -1/3 x. And, again, calculate that. -1/3 times 9. So it'll be -1 divided by 3 times 9, which is -3, minus 3. Okay? So my next step will be plus 8. Those two cancel, so y is equal to -1/3 x plus 5. -3 plus 8 will be plus 5. That will be line 2 equation. With this, we are done with first learning target, 5.5. Alright, so now I'm moving to second learning target. In the second learning target, and this review packet is to describe the correlation of the data and write the equation of the best fitting line. So for the first one, we have given correlation, we have given best fitting line. Our job here will be to choose 2 points that are part of the best fitting line, and we are using that coordinates of the 2 points in order to write the equation. Okay, let's answer first question. Describe the correlation of the data. And down here you have given space to write it down. So what kind of slope do we notice here? It's a negative, and the correlation goes negative. So I'm going to write down negative correlation for this particular example. Second thing will be the equation. To write an equation, we need to start with 2 points. So that will be my first 2 points. They lie exactly on the line of the best fit. So I'm going to use the coordinates of those 2 points. First point has coordinates of -3 and +2. And second point has coordinates of -2 and 1. Once we have 2 points, step 1, calculate the slope. 1 minus 2 is -2 minus -3. 1 minus 2 is -1. -2 plus 3 here will give us -1 over 1. So m is just -1. Second thing, to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 form, we need 1 point. I'm going to pick the first point and we'll substitute. So y minus y1 is 2 equals to -1 for the slope, and then x minus -3. So once you substitute the coordinates, again pay attention to the 2 negative signs. So y minus 2 is equal to -1 times, oops, it's coming, sorry about that, I pressed the button. Okay, we're back. So those 2 negatives will be x plus 3. Then we're going to apply distributive property. Y minus 2 is equal to -1x. -1 times +3 will be -3. And just one more step here, plus 2 on each side. Those 2 cancel. So y equals -1x minus 1 will be the equation of the line of best fit. And with that, we will be done. this is what you need to do for the first example. You just have to pick 2 points from the line and write down their coordinates, find the slope as a step 1, and then write the equation of the line of the best fit using point slope formula. Next example, we have given the scatter plot already. Points are on the graph. Our job is to draw a line. Normally, when you draw a line, you want to kind of put the line maybe kind of in the middle and look which points will be maybe the ones that are exactly in the middle of this data set here. Once we have those points, I will kind of turn around a little bit like this so I can see better which points I want to pick in order to write my line of best fit. Well, obviously we need to go through maybe that way. Remember, you always want to have couple points above and 2 or 3 points below the line just to be exactly in the middle. So I'm gonna use maybe this point and this point. Those will be my 2 points that I'm going to use, those 2. So the coordinates of those 2 points, let's write those 2. The coordinates of the first one are -2 for x and -5 for y. And the second point has coordinates of -1 for x and then 1, 2, 3, 4, -4 for y. So this is exactly in the middle, kind of, my best fit line. We pick those 2 points and we will follow the same steps as the previous example. We will begin with step 1, calculating the slope, -4 minus -5 over -1 minus -2. So this will be -4 plus 5 over -1 plus 2. 1 over 1. So the slope here is just 1. Then step 2, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Again, we'll pick the first point, doesn't matter really which one. So y minus y1 is -5 equals to, the slope is 1 times x minus -2. Those two negatives change to y plus 5 equals to, I will actually combine those two, so 1 times x plus 2 first, then y plus 5 is equal to distributive property, 1 times x is just 1x, 1 times 2 is +2. Subtract 5 from each side, so y will be equal to 1x minus 3. That will be the equation of this best fit line. And the correlation here, to finalize the problem, it goes up. If you put some more points or predict, you will see that the correlation is positive. It goes up from left to right, so positive correlation. And we just finished the example. With this, we are done with learning target 5.6. Now the last learning target is 5.7, where we have given data, and our job will be to plot all those points on the graph, draw the line of best fit, write down the correlation, and write the equation and predict where, when, and where we'll get our next point on the graph. So let's begin with step 1. Step 1, we're going to plot all those points into the graph. So x0, 2 for y, that will be the first one. X is 1, y 3, this will be my second one. Then I have 1 and 2, another one. 2 for x and 4 for y over here. 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 4. Alright, so looks like my correlation, it goes around this part. I would say that it's a positive correlation, it goes up. And if I draw a line of best fit, which will be somewhere in the middle, I'm gonna go through those 2 points. This one over here and this one. And I have 2 points above, 3 points below, so this is kind of close to, so that may be the best prediction for the best fit line. The correlation is positive. So we're gonna follow the same steps as the previous learning target 5, 6. We're gonna write down the coordinates of those 2 points. So this one is 0 for x and 3 for y. And this one has 4 and 4. 4 for x, 4 for y. So knowing the coordinates, step 1, we'll calculate the slope. Will be 4 minus 3 over 4 minus 0, which is 1 over 4. So the slope is 1 over 4. Then y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 form. And we're going to substitute. And I will work with this point. So y minus 4 is equal to, the slope is 1/4 x minus 4. Okay, distributive property here. Y minus 4 is equal to 1/4 x minus 4 over 4. Well, 4 over 4, actually this equals 1. So I'm going to rewrite that. 1 minus 4 is equal to 1/4 x minus 1. And if you're using calculator and you type 1 divided by 4 times -4, you will get the answer -1 right away. Final thing here, I will add 4 to each side. Those two cancel, so y will be equal to 1/4 x plus 3. This is the equation we're looking for. But we have one more step. Now the difference between previous learning target and this is because this one we want to predict the linear model. So we want to see where is the next point on the graph, where is the location of that point. In order to get this location, we're going to use that equation and we will substitute x with 5 and we will know the y coordinate and we can then write down the coordinates of the next point. So let's substitute. Y equals 1/4 times 5 plus 3. So y will be equal to, on the calculator, I'm going to type 1 divided by 4 times 5, which is equal 125, plus 3 will give me 4.25. And by the way, when we're dealing with best fit line and scatter plot, it's absolutely okay to have decimal numbers. So the coordinates of this prediction point, x and y, x will be 5, it's given for us, and y is 4.25, the one we just calculated. That will be the final answer for this problem. So we have the whole solution written down. We started with plotting the points, then we did, once we picked the 2 points from the best fitting line, we calculate the slope, then we applied point slope form to get the equation, and after the equation was found, our last third step was to calculate and get y coordinate of this prediction point. So we're going to follow the same steps and we'll do the same thing for the next example. So first thing, go ahead and plot the points. -3 for x, -1 for y. This is the first one. Then we have -2 and -2, -2 and -3, -1 and -3, 0 and -2, 1 and -2, 2 and -4. Okay, well, those are the points. We do have correlation. The correlation will be negative. Negative, you can tell all the points are going down from left to right. So the best fit line here will go through, I would say, through those 2 points. So that's kind of in the middle of the data. And this will be my picking points of the best fit line. So I'm going to write the coordinates of the first one, which is -3 for x and -1 for y. And this point has x is +2 and y is -4. So we have written down the coordinates. My next step will be slope, -4 minus -1 over 2 minus -3, -4 plus 1 over 2 plus 3, which is -3 over 5. So the slope is -3 over 5. Then third step, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I'm gonna pick first point. Y minus -1 is equal to -3 over 2, x minus -3. So those two will be y plus 1 is equal to -3 over 2x plus 3. We'll apply distributive property here. Y plus 1 is equal to -3 over 2x. Using the calculator to get this. So I have -3 divided by 2 times 3, which is -4.5. -4.5. Okay, so one more thing, -1 from each side, those two cancel, so y will be equal to -3 over 2x minus 5.5. This is the equation. And again, remember, we have one more thing here. We're asked to find the prediction point. So x is given to be 5. We're going to substitute x with 5 over here. So y minus 3y equals to -3 over 2 times 5 minus 5.5. This is equal to, so on the calculator we type -3 divided by 2 times 5. This is -7.5, and then minus 5.5, and this gives us y is -13. So then I will finalize the answer here. X was given to be 5, and we just find out that y is -13. That will be the final answer here. So this is what we're going to do today. We will do this parallel lines, perpendicular lines equations, then you will work with scatter plots, line of best fit, and prediction point. Very important thing is when you have, especially for those two problems, the last two, when you're working on your data set and you're drawing the line of best fit, it may not be exactly as mine, because again, the line of best fit, since we're doing pencil paper, could be a little bit off of what I will choose. So my goal will be to make sure when you draw the line, you go exactly in the middle, you're picking the 2 points, and when you do the calculations, you do the calculations right, and you follow all the steps. That's all from me for today, and I'm looking for successful and great results on the test. Please let me know if you have questions, and I will be around to help. Thank you for watching the video.